You know this photo. It's the most famous kiss in history, the symbol of pure joy at the end of the world's deadliest war. But what if I told you the entire story you think you know is wrong? That this wasn't a romantic reunion between a soldier and his sweetheart, but a moment between two complete strangers, one of whom had no idea it was even coming. For 50 years, the truth was hidden in plain sight. This is the story of the bizarre, decades-long mystery that nobody was supposed to solve. August 14th, 1945, VJ Day, Times Square. The news of Japan's surrender ripples through New York City like an electric current. The war was over. The streets erupt in a celebration so massive, so intense, it would be remembered for generations. Life magazine photographer Alfred Eisenstadt, a legend who had fled Nazi Germany, was there to capture it. He described the scene as a whirling, chaotic joy. He watched as one particular sailor, brimming with euphoria, ran through the crowd, grabbing and kissing any woman in his path. Young, old, it didn't matter. But then, Eisenstadt saw it. The sailor grabbed a woman in a crisp white nurse's uniform, dipped her back, and created a silhouette of pure, unscripted magic. Eisenstadt snapped 4 quick frames. One of them would define an era. But here's the problem. In the frenzy of celebration, no names were exchanged. No interviews conducted. The sailor and nurse melted back into the surging crowd, like ghosts. For decades, they remained simply the sailor and the nurse. It seemed the mystery would be lost to time, until the 1980s, when Life magazine put out a call asking the anonymous couple to come forward. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. The story was about to get a lot more complicated. The floodgates opened. The magazine was inundated with calls. The first, and for a long time the most famous, was a woman named Edith Shane. She wrote a letter in 1980, identifying herself as the nurse. For years, the world accepted her story. She became a celebrity, attending parades and memorials, a living symbol of that day. But other claims kept pouring in. A retired police officer from Brooklyn, Carl Muscarello, was adamant he was the sailor. His story was detailed, his memory sharp. He even passed a polygraph test. For many, the case was closed. But then came George Mendonsa, a fisherman from Rhode Island. His claim was different because he had a witness, his then-girlfriend and later his wife, Rita Petry. She was with him that day, and she watched, furious, as George, high on adrenaline after surviving kamikaze attacks in the Pacific, grabbed a stranger and kissed her. In fact, if you look closely at other photos of the scene, you can see Rita's face in the background, glaring over George's shoulder. With so many compelling and contradictory stories, the public was split. Was it Edith? Was it Carl? Was it George? The mystery only deepened. The photo had become a historical Rorschach test, where everyone saw what they wanted to see. And for historians, the ambiguity was infuriating. With the truth seemingly lost forever, a new team of investigators decided to treat the photo not as history, but as a crime scene. They were going to crack the code using forensic science. First, they analyzed the sailor himself. Using photogrammetry, comparing multiple photos from the scene, they could estimate his height and build. They did a deep dive on his left hand, which is clearly visible, noting the size and shape of his knuckles and veins, comparing them against photos of the claimants. Next, the uniform. Naval experts scrutinized every detail. The insignia, the cut of the fabric, even the specific way the sailor wore his neckerchief. They determined his exact rate and where he likely served, immediately ruling out claimants whose service records didn't match. But the real breakthrough came from analyzing details no one had ever noticed before. They found a tiny, almost invisible scar above George Mendonsa's right eyebrow in his military photos, a scar that matched a faint mark visible on the sailor in the 1945 picture. And then the smoking gun, a small, distinctive tattoo on Mendonsa's right forearm. By digitally enhancing the life photograph, they could just make out a dark shape under his sleeve that was consistent with the location and size of his tattoo. The evidence was overwhelming. Their conclusions pointed strongly to 2 individuals: George Mendonsa as the sailor and Greta Zimmer Friedman as the nurse, whose height, hair, and uniform were a perfect match. The mystery, it seemed, was finally laid to rest. These were the faces behind the symbols, But their real story was perhaps even more fascinating. They were simply two strangers. George never saw Greta again after that split second. He walked away, found Rita, the furious girlfriend in the background, and they went on their date to Radio City Music Hall. They would marry a year later and remain together for over 70 years until his death. Greta Zimmer Friedman, who was actually a dental assistant and not a nurse, went on with her life, having no idea she was in the world's most famous photo until decades later. When asked about the moment, she famously said, "It wasn't my choice to be kissed. The guy just came over and grabbed." But this is where the real secret of the photograph is hiding. The mystery wasn't just who they were, but what that single anonymous moment meant. For decades, this image gained its power because it was anonymous. It allowed everyone to project their own hopes, their own relief, their own vision of love and triumph onto it. In revealing their identities, we gain the human story, George's jubilant relief, Rita's jealousy, Greta's surprise, but we lose a little of that universal, almost mythical quality. The VJ Day kiss isn't just a photograph. It's a testament to the enduring power of a single moment that transcended its participants and became a timeless emblem. It's a silent observer, holding its secrets for nearly half a century, only to reveal them through painstaking effort. What other secrets do iconic images like this still hold? Which famous photo mystery should we solve next? Drop your pick below. And if you want to uncover more stories like this, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.